next up, we have Jim, who would they want some advice. Hey there, Jim. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Doing good. So, overbearing religious family member.
Yeah, I've called before. I spoke to on the Atheist Experience. I spoke to Jim and Matt. I was struggling with the loss of religion. I'm very struggling with it, but I have gotten to the point where I've accepted it and started speaking. And the speaking hasn't gone well. So I'm really shocked of how, when I speak to theist family members, how it's utter blasphemy that I don't believe. And, I'm at the point where I've reached out to a couple other atheists, and I'm looking to actually start support groups just to help people. And Jim, I know we spoke before, and you were a former Catholic. How did you deal with your family members originally? And I look forward. I want to hear from both of you. How did you deal with it?
I have taken the coward's way out. I am not entirely out to my family. My sister knows, and she's there herself, although she's not nearly as open about it as I am. But I'm not out to my parents as an atheist. It would destroy my mother, and I have not figured out a good way to have that conversation yet with my own family, because I don't see any way for it to go well. And so I stay away from that as much as possible at family gatherings and whenever possible because of that. I know how hard conversations have gone in the past, and this would be the hardest conversation I could have with my very religious parents right now. So I avoid that like the plague.
I respect that, Jim.
John, definitely take. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please. I want to hear. I can completely understand Jim and his position. Completely. I have friends who are Catholic, and I know where that would go. And I really feel bad for you, Jim. But John, please, your opinion.
Well, I think it's very important to consider your I guess situation in particular. So don't take any advice that I might give as being like tacit, support for any one particular action, because it's very unique to each person's situation. And if you're in a situation like Jim's situation, it might be better to not have that conversation with family members. Typically, I'm a pretty well out there atheist, even in my family. I really haven't had the same worries or concerns that some people have. Mostly because most of my family had already kind of quit talking to me a bit, so I didn't really have to worry about that part. But how I've generally handled it is just I've let people know that I don't believe in God. And, I typically always push back respectfully whenever somebody, says something particularly ridiculous. I'll give a lot more leeway with family members than I will with just random people, that I, on Twitter or on any social media. I'm very typically, able to, be like, okay, I understand that's what you believe. That's fine. I don't believe that. And just have a very, I guess a sort of unspoken agreement not to really push too hard. Because I know that if any particular family member started pushing me really hard into religion, I would have to ultimately resort to, being very forceful about I just do not believe. And these are the reasons why. And so I think that, being respectful for one, and having a little bit of leniency whenever you are in a conversation. And what I mean by that is, like, just for instance, one time I was talking to my dad on the phone, and we both have diabetes, and he's had it since he was a teenager, and I've only had it for about the last 15 years or so. And so one night he calls me, and he thinks that God saved him because he had a really low sugar and he doesn't remember getting home. And so he obviously was able to drive home, but then his sugar was so low that he just totally, blacked out and lost memory of driving home. Well, obviously he thinks that God is the one that guided him home or got him home safely. And it was a very spiritual experience for him. And, I calmly listened to him, and I'm like, I understand that, that you believe that. I personally think that, the body is we don't understand everything about the human body and the human mind, especially because it's so complex. And so I think that, you just got home safely and you don't remember it. And I tried to be very respectful about it, and I let him talk about it because it seemed like he really just needed to talk about it more so than he needed me to believe what he was saying. And so I just kind of had one of those listening ears where I was just like, I understand. Okay. Yes, I believe, I understand you. And so I just kind of had a very understanding ear, and I listened to them. And while I didn't compromise, my own beliefs for them, I just simply, made it known that, like, look, I don't believe this, but I'm glad that you're home okay. Like, I'm glad that you're safe and everything. And I tried to look past all of that kind of stuff. And so that's what I mean by leniency. Like, if I'm on the internet and somebody starts proselytizing to me or telling me that God did this and that, I'm not going to give somebody, a random person on the internet, that kind of leeway. But I think with family members, allowing them that kind of leeway can really go a long way to promoting a good relationship, even though you have diametrically opposed beliefs in that particular area.
I understand it.
Did that help at all?
I unfortunately, it does. I unfortunately have a personality comparable to Matt Dillahunty. It's not a good thing. When I get into these conversations, I just know, I respect everybody's beliefs. I really do. But when they start preaching to me about how wrong I am, I'm not arguing. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm where Matt is. Prove it. Just
right.
Tell me more than your Bible is more than about slavery and inferiority of women and all that. But please go ahead.
One thing that I think that you could really benefit from is watching a lot of street epistemology videos. Like Anthony Magnabosco is the first one that always comes to mind when it comes to street epistemology, because they have like a really good way of pushing back against people by asking them questions rather than just flat out telling them, nope, you're wrong. And in a conversation, like normally I wouldn't care about, telling somebody that they're wrong, but in a conversation where you're talking to somebody where you want to keep a cordial relationship with them and you're concerned about that as well, taking more of a street epistemology approach might offer better results. It could definitely advance the conversation that you're having with them. And in a lot of cases, at least from what I've seen on Magnabosco's channel and all of his interviews, it actually causes people to think about their positions and think about why they believe things. So, you might want to consider taking that, because you could still push back against them. It's just, you have more of a chance of not necessarily influencing them, but more of a chance to get them to think about why they believe what they believe.
Could you repeat his name, or somebody just give his name in the chat?
Anthony Magna Bosco, Magnabao.
Bosco.
Bo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Right. And if you look up street epistemology, you'll find him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Let's Chat is another good street epistemology channel as well. And I like him a little bit better than Anthony. Anthony's very focused on the religion question, and the gentleman who does Let's Chat focuses on almost everything you could possibly talk about. So it tends to be a little bit more general, which is why I like it a little bit better. But Anthony's stuff is absolutely wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Also, I'm former Catholic as well. I'm not. I was never as good of a Catholic as probably Jim or my wife KC, but I am a former Catholic as well.
I think
we may have lost Jim.
Well, I'm still here, so it would be the other Jim from Canada.
Oh, no, yeah, it's Jim from Canada. I'm so sorry, I forgot we had two Jims.
I did so good at not making that. I did so good not making that joke, and I couldn't resist anymore. So.